Is up, Fantasy Fools? We are back again with the Week 4 recap. Your division leaders coming at you, coming out of Week 4. How are we feeling today?
Oh man, we're feeling good, and I didn't even realize we're both leading the division. I think I did see that this morning when I was doing the write up, and it does look good to have my name. Even though we'll see the standings later in the podcast, but I do have like a less than 50 or 50% chance of making the playoffs. I don't know how that works, but I am on top of the division right now. But I did go against the worst guy in the league, so pretty easy dub. I would say I had two goose eggs, and I think, came out with the third highest score. One of the goose eggs was an injury, but I'm going to have to figure out my tight end position. That's probably my biggest thing. I do have Eric All Jr. on the bench. That's probably going to get the start this week. We'll see how that goes. But I come out with a win. Great Monday night performance by Kenneth Walker and Amon. Lubasi, he just has no luck right now. I don't even know what to say about his team right now.
He is just not getting it. It's just something's not clicking. Low scores, and also everyone he's playing so far has dropped bombs on him. But honestly, I just don't. In most scenarios, it doesn't matter because he's not putting up eye-popping numbers anyway. But yeah, just another brutal loss here for him to go to 0-4. Our last, we'll get to this in the standings. Our last winless team. We talked last week about who is going to be the last team to get a win. Lubasi is going to get that crown. So now the only question remains is how many games is it going to take? When does Lubasi get his first win? And man, we keep talking about it, but looking at this team, I'm not sure that first win's on the horizon right now without making some moves.
Yeah, he's got Jimmy. I know this coming week. I think Jimmy's got a way better team. Honestly, this was probably the week to get a dub because my team kind of fell apart with two zeros, and he still couldn't pull it off. Granted, my guys showed out, but if there was one week to really steal a dub, it was when your opponent gets two goose eggs, and that's just heartbreaking that he can't win that. It's just I just get my psyche so low.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody was paying attention to your guys' match, but mine was over, so I was pretty much only watching the close ones, and then this one was the only one still going. Probably after halftime of that first game, that still really didn't know which way it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And man, what a finish to this matchup it was! Because obviously now end score, you blew them out, but when it was coming into third quarter, it was going back and forth. And then the Titans got that safety at the end to give Lubasi's defense 2 points, go up a lead, 1 point. It was going back and forth throughout those two games last night. It was honestly one of the craziest matchups I've ever seen. You kind of ran away with it at the end, but really exciting stuff. I'm sure you were pacing the floors last night, but yeah, just another tough L for Lubasi here, and I hope he can get it together, man. I said it this morning. If this guy somehow makes the playoffs this year, it will be an absolutely historic comeback, and I don't want to say I'd love to see it because unless I'm in there too, but I hope he can turn it around. I don't want to see him go 0-5.
Yeah, I had to mute my phone. I was focused on the game and only the game. I couldn't start talking to people. But I know Johnny and Rudy had a really close game. We'll get to that game after the Chris and Nick game, which was a pretty eye-popping. I don't want to say eye-popping, but Chris, I know everybody. We'll get to these trades later in the podcast too. But everyone was thinking that Chris fleeced Jimmy on this trade. And this trade actually lost Chris this matchup. I know it's early. It's only, the first week of the trade. But if he doesn't make this trade, he beats Nick. Because I remember I was going to put that in my power rankings, and I just left it out because it was going to be way too long. So I was just going to talk about it in the podcast. But if he has Daniels, who put up, I think, a 25, and if he has Kyron, who puts up a 20 instead of Ayuk, he easily beats Chris or Nick. So... Yeah. That trade, I know everyone was talking shit about it in the group chat. I don't know if talking shit really is, but Johnny and Nick definitely were. uh, talking about the trade, and it actually lost Chris the match. I know it's, like I said, it's early, so I still like the trade. We'll talk about it more later, but Chris struggled this week. A 90 is not a great score, and Justin Jefferson still went off. It's just his other guys just didn't perform.
Yeah, really, really tough game from Josh Allen on Thursday last week. Did not really do a whole lot. That was a very unexciting game. If you were watching anybody on the Bills, that was
Sunday night.
tough. Huh?
That was Sunday night game.
Oh, Sunday night game.
Yep.
Either way, just a tough watch for anybody with Bills guys on their team. This was just a brutal week for Chris. Nobody really, I mean, outside of Gibbs and Justin Jefferson, nobody performed at all. Chris Godwin even had a down week. I think that guy stinks. I don't know. But yeah, just a tough week for Chris here. And Nick ekes by another one. We'll get to this in the standings too. But I think, like me, I mean, I can't even talk because I'm kind of the same way. But Nick's got a very low points for, but he's sitting at 3-1 right now. He gets another dub here. Caught Chris on a bad week. I think 9 times out of 10, Chris wins this matchup. But maybe that trade turned the tides on Chris's team that we've been talking so highly of.
Yeah, and I mean, I added this in this the write-up I did this morning. He's really banking on Ramondre Stevenson to be a good RB2. And the first 2 weeks, it looked good, but the last 2 weeks, not good at all. So that's one reason why I really didn't love the trade for Chris. He's really banking on the Patriots offense to kind of figure it out. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, like I said, Nick's team it's not good right now. But with the injuries, once Tua comes back and Mixon comes back, it does definitely look better. But yeah, if you're hoping to play, I don't know who plays Nick this week, but this is a good couple weeks to play Nick to try to steal a dub from his team.
Yeah, that Dolphins offense is brutal. I'm right there with him on that. And yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper, Browns D, God, just anyone from the Browns. Just what a gross offense that is right now.
Yeah, Cooper got that 80-yard touchdown taken back, which would have looked a lot better for his score. But yeah, Miles Sanders as your RB2 is just not a good look. But he does get Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is starting to practice. Jordan Addison was still in the IR, but he dropped a 23 ball. So Nick's got some pieces, but he definitely needs Tyreek to be Tyreek Hill if he wants to really start putting up some points.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he continues that streak of luck of catching guys on bad weeks and winning with some lower point totals. But yeah, good win by Nick. Tough week for Chris.
We usually have one of those teams that eke by in the playoffs that is just a terrible team, but just keep finding wins. I just remember that Jimmy year. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago where his team was so bad.
Crazy.
Oh, team was so bad. I think we were still in the 4-man playoff format, and he somehow still it was the year I drafted Lamar. I think it was the year that we both made the championship because his team was just so bad, and I beat him in the first round like so easily. But there's usually one team, so maybe that this year it's Nick's team. But we'll go to Johnny and Rudy's team, which was closer in the end. I think this was probably the closest matchup. I know you were talking about Bossies, but this one, DK got that touchdown taken back, which would have won Rudy the game. I know the group chat was talking about that. And that was literally by a pubic hair that he didn't get that touchdown.
Yeah, that was gnarly. I thought he scored it. But yeah, I mean, the instant replay, I think they got it right. I don't think he was actually in when he went down, but that was by just the smallest inch that he missed that. And what a swing that would have been here for Rudy.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize Johnny got a goose egg with Christian Watson. Did he go down early in the game or something?
I don't know how early it was, but yeah, he did get hurt. He got carted off.
Yeah, this guy just doesn't like to pick people up.
Still got 2 bench spots open. I'm not sure he knows if he's allowed to pick people up, but hey, Johnny, if you're listening, the waiver wire is for everyone. You can pick up anybody you want. that's available, and you can fill those bench spots out if you want, or you can wait for Estimate Sharp to come back, I guess.
The guys in the IR are just like not good either. So like he has Puka that's been on the IR that can go here. I don't know. It's a weird GM over there. Johnny's a weird guy. So
Hey, call him weird, but he gets his first dub this week and takes down the previously undefeated Rudy to hand him his first loss. I mean, got to give it to the man. He doesn't need a full roster to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad he beat Rudy finally. Rudy had not a bad week either. James Cook, yeah, like you said, that Buffalo Ravens game was kind of bad for any Buffalo guy or Mark Andrews. But Rudy had a good week, but Johnny just had a better week, even with the goose egg. Those running backs have to be top tier, probably top 2 or top 3 in the league. And I mean, every time Aaron Jones gets more than 15 points, he's kind of rubbing in your face that you were wrong on that call.
He is. I think I'm gonna have to just eat that one all year. I mean, what a bad call by me. This guy has just been tearing it up. I mean, I think we felt like even versus the Packers, like it was almost inevitable that he was gonna have a good game.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just been consistently good all year long, and yeah, I'm eating my words on that one for sure. Johnny's team looks pretty decent here, and yeah, I agree that 1-2 punch at running back is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, if once he gets Puka back, I think this team is a lot better than 1-3, depending on how Puka comes back. I was never that high on Puka, especially for a first round draft pick, but he is a good wide receiver, and he's way better than Christian Watson, who gives you a zero ball. I think that's his second goose egg this year, which I really can't talk because Mark Andrews is giving me 2 as well. Yeah, second. I don't know if he played him week 2, but another goose egg. But yeah, I like Johnny's definitely the best 1-3 team in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, at full strength, I would say, yeah, probably. I don't know. I'd maybe have to stack up all the 1-3 teams together to see, but yeah, I mean, I honestly think this is a pretty solid team. I think we talked about it before when Johnny was 0-3 that we're not necessarily panicking yet from his perspective. He's not selling the team, and he comes out and he gets the first dub. Congrats to Johnny on that. He is no longer in the winless team category. There's only one guy left in there. And congrats to him. I think the whole league should be happy that he finally takes down our last undefeated team here.
Yeah, and talking about Rudy's team, I mean, he just like 111 doesn't seem like a really bad score, and it looks like his team looks like they did well. James Cook really screwed him this week. I mean, Jalen Hurts looked really bad too, but of course they don't have 2 of their best wide receivers. That offense is struggling without A.J. Brown especially, but Devontae Smith as well. So, I mean, Rudy probably just going to take this one on the chin and, look for next week. There's nothing really too worrisome about this team. And it's got some cool pieces and nice pieces on the best. Chase Brown with, I think, a 2-touchdown day. And I've been reading a lot about Tank Dell, about how you should, sell or not sell, but buy him right now. I was never that high on Tank Dell, but there's just so many mouths to feed in the Texans offense, but he's a good bench wide receiver to have.
Yeah, I mean, I still think Rudy has a pretty solid team, and he's shown it. He was undefeated through the first 3 weeks. Still got Christian McCaffrey that may or may not play all year. I don't know. But yeah, even without him, luckily he's got Jordan Mason there. I think this is still a pretty good team. And, that's why you're so happy when you start undefeated like this, because you can take a loss like this, albeit a tough one for sure by 2 points, but you can take this loss and you're still sitting at 3-1, looking pretty good.
Yep. All right, we will go to your team or your game, which was a blowout pretty much all Sunday and all Monday. Well, yeah, you didn't have to worry about Monday, like you said. I think you said, what did you start the Monday on? Did you have like 90 points?
No, I think it was 78-75 coming into last night.
And you had 4 players play?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I was expecting you to get a lot more than 109.
I was too, but you have to consider that I have Devon Achane, who, I mean, that guy, the Dolphins offense is so so bad right now. Like if Montgomery wasn't on a bye this week, there would be a serious conversation in my head of whether I even play this guy, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of locked into it right now. But yeah, I mean, Achan is just so bad right now, and then my defense got torched last night, which I kind of knew was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to be 42 points by any means, but my defense got torched. I was trying to pick somebody up last week, but all the good defenses got swiped up before I could because I'm so deep on the waiver priorities with my team being so good. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I just kind of had to roll with the Seahawks this week, knowing they were facing that high-powered Lions offense, and yeah, they got ate the fuck up. And then yeah, between that and Achan, those are really the only scores here that I'm looking at that I'm not super happy. I mean, the quarterback start was just a gut call with Jordan Love coming off injury, facing a Vikings defense that's played super well all year. He puts up 30 points, which you throw that in there instead of bum ass Daniel Jones, then my score is looking a lot different. So very happy to get the win here regardless, and no concerns at all about the team. Jordan Love will be back in there this week, and we should be rolling nice and easy here.
Yeah, we're going to look at Jimmy's game, I think, next. But I feel bad for him because he made so many good trades to put him in position to win this week, and he goes against Jeff that just not blows him out, but just puts up a 153. We'll talk about that later. But I just see David Montgomery, and you traded Swift, and I think Swift got a 30 ball this week. But
He did, yeah, he did.
yeah,
Nothing but single digits all year long, and as soon as I trade him away, the Bears finally figure out how to use him. I love to see it because I'm glad they won. But
yeah,
man, of course, as soon as I trade him away, same thing. Jayden Reed, Jordan Love comes back. I knew Jayden Reed was the more valuable piece in that trade, but I needed some RB depth. And David Montgomery, I still think has a better season than Swift. So I'm happy about it. But yeah, I did hand Jimmy about 50 points this week. So
that's crazy to think about. But going over to Chewy's team, I mean, this is just a week to forget. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about this team. There's one pretty good Malik Neighbors, kind of, I think, solidified his number one wide receiver in that Cowboys game. Cowboys have a pretty good cornerback group with Diggs, and Neighbors was just torching them. So that's really good to see if you're Chewy, but man, the rest of this team, Breece Hall will give you a dud here or there, but man, Chewy, I don't know. He's not panicking right now, but Chewy, if I'm looking at this team, I'm thinking about what I can be doing to make it better. That's for sure.
yeah, I agree. Everything you said there. I don't know that I'm necessarily slapping that panic button, but man, I am at least a tinge concerned if this is my team right now. Obviously, weeks like this aren't going to happen very often, but it was just like every single person on his team just had a bad week on the same week. And yeah, this was a tough one to stomach for Chewy. I'm sure nobody wants to see a 75 as their final score, but you gotta
So
kind of roll with
it's going
those.
to be interesting with Rachaad White. You're kind of skipping. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for a minute there. I was trying to talk through it.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm sorry, yeah, because I heard you not talk, so I was like, oh, I might start talking. But okay, anyway, yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I was going to say it's going to be interesting to see what Bucky and Rachaad do. We'll look at James's team, but if Rachaad loses that spot, that's going to spell a lot of trouble for Chewy as well.
I wouldn't want to be putting my eggs in the Giants' backfield basket
No.
right now. Just especially too because he's got Neighbors, and we've talked about having two offensive weapons from the same team. Just not always going to work out in your favor this week. It obviously didn't, but I mean, Neighbors is making himself a case of. I mean, this guy might finish wide receiver one in fantasy and in real life. Like this guy is absolutely tearing it up through the first 4 games of the year.
Yeah, and it's hopefully he comes back. I know I think he got a concussion. He gets 10 days to kind of get that taken care of, which he should probably play this week. He's questionable right now. So if Chewy loses Neighbors, I mean Olave's done all right, pretty good actually, but his team is pretty much Neighbors and Hall, and you kind of try to ride that to the victory.
Yeah, just an all around brutal week for Chewy, but you can't. I mean, things like that happen. That's a tough one to stomach.
Yeah, you just kind of forget about it. So, all right, we will go to the highest scoring game of the week, and like I said with Jimmy, I kind of piggyback on what I was saying with Jimmy's trades. I mean, you look at it, you get Daniels 24, you get Williams 20, Swift 29, Jaden Reed 27. This guy made all the right trades. It's just looking at for this week's score, and he still loses. I mean, I just feel bad for the guy because he's also. I mean, I wouldn't say this is a must. That was a must-win game against Jeff. He's 1-3, not great to be 1-3, but this team. I mean, I like this team. I did say Johnny was the best 1-3 team. I take that back. I think Jimmy's the best 1-3 team, but I just feel for Jimmy with this loss because he didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really tough to see that. I mean, just a terrible matchup for him this week. But his team absolutely showed out. Like you said, I mean, he pretty much took that 1-2, and he was ready to sell the team. He made two big trades last week with James and with me, and this team is completely different. And they dropped, I think, probably his best scorer of the season and one of our highest scores of the season. But man, Jeff right now is looking like a freaking juggernaut. He had one down week last week versus me, thank God. But man, this is his second week in the 150s, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Jeff's team is just firing on all cylinders right now, and this is a brutal loss for Jimmy. You put up 143 and lose. That's just bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Jeff's team, 1 point from the defense and 2 points from the kicker. I mean, and he still puts up a 153. It's ridiculous. Even his bench went his bench damn near beat Lubasi. Like, it's just crazy that he actually beat Chewy too. The bench beat Chewy, but it's just he has so much depth. I wrote about this morning. Like, he still has Scary Terry on the bench. Brian Robinson's probably on the bench this week just because of matchups, but he's got Chuba starting this week. And then Baker as a backup to Lamar. I mean, Baker has been up and down and always will be up and down, but actually the third best quarterback this year, which is – does he have the first and third best quarterback right now? Second. Okay. But, yeah, Jeff's team
– QB's pretty good.
Yeah, Jeff is just – oh, man. I played Jeff this week. It's pretty much one of my worst bye weeks, so I'm just sitting down and taking the L. I know anything can happen in fantasy, but I don't have very high expectations for this week. This team is just too hot right now.
This team looks so good right now. Nico is shredding it. CD shredding it. Kamara is having a fantastic year. Lamar is doing Lamar things. James Conner is having a great year. I mean, this guy, Brian Robinson in the flex, having a pretty good year. I mean, this guy is he's got the pieces all lined up right now. This is a scary team, man. This is a scary team. I am so happy that I squeaked by with a dub against.
Yeah. I'm hoping. I mean, I'm probably not going to squeak by, but Jeff's team. I mean, I said in the beginning this was my favorite team coming out of the draft, and so far it is doing well. 3-1.
Hey, before you go to the next matchup, you mentioned that Jeff's bench beat Chewy. I think Chewy's bench beat Chewy. Please go look at Chewy's bench from this week because they were dropped. So, yeah, I was thinking so. Dude, his bench went crazy.
Oh, my goodness. Justin Fields.
Okay, yeah, I had to see that.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Your bench kind of went crazy, too.
Yeah, they did. Nothing like his, though. That was he had sent me a text about his bench at some point in the day, and I looked at that, and I was like, wow, they're actually beating the starters.
I mean, even with a negative 0.4, you still beat. That's crazy. But, yeah, like just to end it with Jimmy and Jeff, tough loss for Jimmy. I don't know who he plays this week, but he's not in must-win territory, but he's definitely trying to win this week more than not. Of course, everybody is, but being 1-3, you're not trying to go 1-4.
Yeah,
So,
definitely going to be looking for a bounce back, but with his new and improved squad, I think he's going to do all right.
and so we'll go to James and Dom. And I just want to say, whoever listened to the podcast, I called this upset. I was on Team James from the beginning. I said James is going to get his first dub against a depleted Dom team. Dom's team is usually looks pretty good, but has a lot of injuries right now. And I said James was gonna pull it out, and he did. And all thanks to pretty much Derrick Henry.
Yeah, on the shoulders of King Henry, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's just a lovely week out of the RB2 spot. Bijan still can't seem to get it going, but James's team looked really good this week. I guess outside of Derrick Henry, there weren't really any crazy scores. I did see, I mean, he picked a great week to bench Anthony Richardson because
Yeah.
he ends up getting hurt. He actually looked pretty decent in the couple drives or however long he played, but great decision there from James. I'm sure he was just fed up at this point with what Anthony Richardson had been dropping for him so far. But a great day to bench him and throw Watson in there.
Yeah, and I mean Pittman had a good day. But it's just I wrote on this team. I don't hate this team. I don't know if you have any other opinion on James's team. Like he's got pieces, Tua and Jalen Waddle. I think Waddle will be all right with Tua, and you can even put Pittman in that Waddle spot for now. Sutton looked good. I think that trade so far. I forgot who that trade was for. Oh, Jackson Smith. Unless Jackson Smith did pretty well too. But Cortland got a touchdown. I think the pieces are there for James. But just starting 1-3, a lot of things have to go his way to kind of get back to where he wants to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a bad team, but he's just kind of struggled early on in this year so far. And hopefully that trade will boost them up just a little bit. I don't think there were huge pieces going back and forth on that one. But
No.
yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, if Bijan figures his thing out and if James figures out his quarterback situation, I mean, I think this team will be fine. When Waddle gets Tua back, I think, he's got the pieces in place to be okay here. But yeah, I mean, thankfully he gets this dub to get himself out of the winless category at least.
Yeah, and hopefully James can make a run for his sake. I like James. I don't think has ever really kind of like Dom. Both these guys have been in this league for a long time, and I don't think they've ever gotten paid out first, second, or third. I think I wrote about that at the end of last year. So I'm always rooting for James and Dom just to kind of get their first dub. Not necessarily championship, but just to kind of get in the playoffs and have some fun. But Dom's
Yeah,
team.
I think I might be saying this incorrectly. So James, if you're listening and I say this wrong, feel free to call me out. But I think was it last year, the year before was the first year that he had made the playoffs. I think since he'd been in.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was last year. I don't think it was last year. It was 2 years ago, I think. But I remember 3 years ago, he had probably the best team in the league and didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he had gone, I think, 10 plus seasons without having made the playoffs.
Yeah,
Again,
he said.
correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but it was a long drought before he got into there.
And he's had good teams. He's just had really bad luck so far in this league, and so has Dom. Dom's had pretty bad luck on this in this league too. I feel like Dom's teams are always good, but always find a way to not make the playoffs. Just I don't know what it is, but I always remember writing about preseason rankings and be like, Dom's team is really good, and then somehow he doesn't make the playoffs. And I'm saying the same thing this year too. I know you like Dom's team probably a little bit more than me, but Dom has a really good team, and hopefully he can get in the playoffs this year. But with injuries, AJ Brown coming back, should be coming back. They have a bye this week, so in probably 2 weeks he'll get AJ Brown back, which makes this team a lot stronger because he's got a lot of stock in Tennessee. I say this every week, but Tennessee is not a team to have a lot of stock in.
Yeah, he kind of got backed into a corner. I think probably the last few weeks of having to start Calvin Ridley with the injuries to
He's got
Debo, and because Debo was out last week, AJ Brown's been out for a few weeks. So at full strength, yeah, this team I think has it. Travis Kelce finally has a decent game. If those guys can keep it up and he can get his guys back healthy, I think this team looks pretty solid. So.
Yeah, and I wrote this on the write up this morning. Brian Thomas is having a really sneaky good rookie year. You're not really hearing about him too much, but he drops a nice 22 ball this week with a touchdown. He had that long touchdown or long play week 2 to kind of inflate that score. But that's a guy that I kind of wanted this year. I don't know where he was drafted. I think he was drafted. Yeah, I think I wanted him the round after Dom got him. So far, great pick there. That's a nice little wide receiver too that he found, and probably will be turned into a flex once AJ Brown comes back. So this team I still really like this team. I put him third in the rankings, even though he's 2-2. I think this team has a complete feel. Kyler had a bad game. I think this was his second bad game in a row. Yeah. He really hasn't had that great of a season this year.
Yeah, he has not started out super strong. But yeah, I mean, if Kyler gets it figured out, Dom gets his guys back healthy, this is a pretty solid team here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So we will go. You want to talk about the standings, or you want to talk about the trade first?
We can go into the trade.
Okay, we will go
trades, I guess. We had a couple trades that happened after our last pod.
Where am I going here?
Recent activity.
There we go. That's what I was trying to find.
You guys never used ESPN before?
I'm usually on the phone. Okay, so we will go to. I think there's only 2 trades. Yeah, we already talked about this last week. So we'll go to the big trade. Let's talk about the big trade. And I'll just ask you straight up: Jaden Daniels, Kyren, Blake Corum for Jefferson, Madison, Shaheed, and Josh Allen. Who won that trade? Long term.
Man, I don't know. Long term, it's hard to answer this question now after seeing this week, right? Like, if you asked me when the trade first happened, I'd probably be like, I give Chris a slight edge here. But after watching this week, after seeing what Jaden Daniels has been doing, I'm not so sure. I think this is definitely even, like dead split, or I might be slight edge toward Johnny at this point. He does give up Justin Jefferson, but he gets an RB, a solid weekly starter RB in Kyren Williams, plus his backup and the rookie quarterback that has been absolutely lights out all year. It gives up Josh Allen, but he's got an immediate replacement there. We talked about his receivers a little bit, but I don't know, man. Jimmy looking, I don't know. I'm thinking Jimmy might have won this by a slight edge.
Yeah, and you look at it, I know why Johnny and Nick and a couple other people in the group chat are talking of how they think Chris fleeced Jimmy, but because you look at just name recognition, Josh Allen over Jaden Daniels, you're going to take Josh Allen like every time if you're just looking at the name. And then Kyren over Justin Jefferson, you're going to probably take Justin Jefferson over the name just because of the name. But Kyren Williams is he finds the end zone so much. Health is a little bit worrisome. He was hurt last year. I think you know that from having him on your team. But I think I still give the edge to Chris because I think his players are slightly better, but I think this makes Jimmy's team better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think with the 2 trades, if you add in like both trades that Jimmy made, I think he completed his team out very well through these 2 moves. And I mean, he got a replacement for Jefferson, technically, I guess, when he got Reed from me. He got another running back with Swift. And I think if you put all that together, the trades, like even this one, I just have to give a slight edge, I think, to Jimmy because, I mean, through the first 4 weeks of the season, Jaden Daniels has outplayed Josh Allen. So looking future outlook, is that going to change? Maybe, but man, I don't know. I think both of these guys did a good move for their teams. I just think that Jimmy's team looks a little bit better right now after these moves.
Yeah, and I don't think Jimmy does this trade if Pacheco doesn't get hurt. Maybe he does. But his running backs were pretty much he needed an RB1. I know he had David Montgomery. He's not really an RB1 per se. He's a good running back. Just he wants somebody that's proven in that RB1 spot. And he gets Kyron Williams, who fills that role.
One. All right, video cut out there for a second, but we are back. We were just finishing up on Chris and Jimmy's trade here. Just kind of going into who we thought won there. But I know we already talked about most of that. So last decision from you. Where are you leaving your edge, Chris or Jimmy here?
Yeah, I think I'm leaving it with Jim or Chris long term, but I think both teams win this trade.
Yeah, I think the overall takeaway is that this one turns out to be, I think it's going to be pretty even trade, and I think both guys made their teams a little bit better. So good trade to the both of them.
Yeah, we'll go to your trade with Jimmy. I think talking about Chris's trade and Jimmy's trade, I think you got to add this trade too with Jimmy because I think this kind of completes his team more so than just that one solo trade. I think, like you said, getting Jayden Reed and DeAndre Swift I think Jayden Reed was the guy he really wanted this in this trade, and he is the number 4 wide receiver this year so far. He's had a really good year, and the 2 games with Jordan Love, he's gotten a combined 60 points. So, I mean, this is who Jimmy wanted. And the trade also makes sense for you because you are weak at running back, especially with HN just not performing. So I don't think this is a bad trade for you. David Montgomery is really good. I think David Montgomery might be the best person in this trade, but Jayden Reed also could probably take that later in the year.
Yeah, and it's hard to look at, just like the last one I said, it's hard to look at this without thinking about what happened this week. But like if you look at this before this week, DeAndre Swift and Jayden Reed were not doing anything in weeks 2. Well, Swift hasn't been doing anything all year, but Reed hadn't done anything in week 2 or 3. So it made sense for me definitely before this week. I still like it even after this week. I don't expect Swift to do that week in and week out, but it does suck to think about this week and how I gave Jimmy about 50 points. So,
yeah, and you also got to think Deontay Johnson has been really good. So you're pretty much trading either Deontay Johnson or Jayden Reed. I don't know if Jimmy wanted Deontay Johnson, but if Jayden Reed was the guy he wanted, you probably wouldn't have took it Johnson. But I think your wide receivers are good enough to, not feel the pain of Jayden Reed unless he just has a ridiculous season. So yeah, I think both teams, I think, win this trade. But I do, like you said, after this week, it's hard not to say Jimmy won this trade so far.
oh, well, I think, yeah, if you say so far, then that's absolutely right. I mean, Xavier Worthy did do pretty decent on my bench, but I got 15 points out of Montgomery versus the 30 ball that Swift dropped. I mean, even that alone. And then the Jayden Reed thing, I don't know that I would have started him this week anyway, for the same reason that I sat Jordan Love. So, but yeah, I mean, you take this week into consideration. Jimmy wiped the floor with me on that.
Yeah, but it's still a good trade for both of you guys. And hopefully Jimmy can get out of the funk that he's in, because right now this 1-3 does not look good. He's actually last in that division now.
He is, which is crazy because his team just put up a 140. That's tough to see, but yeah, he's bringing up the rear right now, and I expect that to turn around pretty quick for him.
Yeah, I don't know how this playoff percentage, because like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm at a 50% chance and Chewy's at a 49% chance. and I have 500. I have the second most points. Chewy has, the eighth points. So I don't know how they do that because I'm also 3-0 in the division, or 2-0.
And he's
No,
and he's
3-0.
1-2.
Yeah, I don't understand how they do that. I don't know how I have such a low percentage.
Yeah, I don't know. That is very weird because I have an 80 and I have the lower points, but in the same division record as you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I really don't understand. Maybe they're looking at my team, and I have a lot of injuries right now, but I don't know if they're that smart to like know that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's very interesting.
But yeah, Johnny has a 40% chance. So right now they're loving Johnny's team at 1-3, thinking that he is bound for a turnaround. But we'll see these standings really quick. Jeff is just blowing everybody out. He's winning by 34 points, which isn't that much, but the number one point total does get, I think, what, $75 those mini games are. So he's
Yeah,
trying
something
to
like that.
he's trying to keep that up there. But yeah, you look bottom of the list. Nick, second last, 410 only, still 3-1. You got Lubasi, who hasn't cracked 400 yet. You're at 444.
I did climb my way up this ladder a little bit this week.
You
I
did.
was sitting at second to last week, so I'm happy to see myself on the rise here on the points for.
Yep. And then you got Dom and Rudy. Like I said, the top four also get into that mini game. So you always want to be in that top four. But let's see points against. Let's go this way and just see Lubasi, 554, and Jimmy and Johnny. Jimmy's had a tough year just as much as anybody, 527. And his team is pretty good. That's just tough to swallow. And then you look at the other way around, and you're playing the defense this year. That's for sure.
Dude, if we can keep playing this kind of defense, I am so happy. I don't care what anybody says. I'll drop the lowest points in the league. If I'm getting dubbed and I make the playoffs, anything can happen. And we're playing stout defense right now.
Yeah, no, not even 400. So 4 weeks, like we always said before PPR and mostly in half PPR, you always want 100 points at least to, make sure that you did something good to get the dub. And you're averaging against less than 100 points against, and Lubasi's averaging less than 100 points for each week, which is a crazy thing to think about because with full PPR, you think you should at least get 100 points.
Yeah, he is. His spread on his points for versus points against is gnarly.
Even if he was doing really well, his schedule wouldn't have benefited him, but I'm sure he'd at least get like one win at least. But we'll look at division record. Jimmy and Lubasi 0-3, tough to get those tiebreakers with that bad of a record so far. And then me and you, the reason why we're up there in the top of the divisions right now is because of that division record right there, 3-0.
That's right. We start off 0-1 just because we were playing out of division. We didn't care. We didn't care. Oh, the division games are happening now? Okay. All right, I'll win these.
Yeah, I definitely call my guys up during division matchups and say, "Hey, you got to wake up. This is the time right now to do something."
Yeah, exactly. We know what's going on. We're playing the long game here, all right?
Yep. So then just for fun, we'll look at moves. And Johnny actually made a move. He made one move.
He's still got 2 open spots on the bench, and he's sitting at 1 move throughout the entire season. We already got a guy that's cracked double digits.
I wonder what Johnny's move was. I don't know if I want to go find it, but I will try to find it for maybe next podcast because I'm interested to see who he picked up.
We'll see if there's any more next week. He might still be at 1. We can talk about it then.
Exactly. So we'll go to week 5 just to quickly go through week 5. We got me and Jeff, who, like I said before, this is my worst bye week, and this is also Dom's worst bye week. If you look at Dom's, we'll go into Dom's game when we get there, but this is one of my worst bye weeks. So Jeff is killing me on projected total. Then we got Lubasi, who needs a win. So here's a question. Does he beat Jimmy this week?
No. Well, see, contingent on whether he makes a big move throughout this week. I have to that GM office over there has got to be buzzing right now. So I think it does hinge on a potential move that we might see from Lubasi. Insider scoop. I mean, we just got to imagine it's probably happening. I mean, like I said, that GM room's got to be just going bananas. So
Yeah.
if he does not make a move, no, he's not beating Jimmy. Jimmy, well, I guess I don't know buys either, but Jimmy's team up on the rise, just got a bunch of new pieces. His team looks fully revamped. And Jimmy also really needs a win here.
Yeah, and you can even see the projected total is Jimmy winning, and he's only got 8 players in his lineup. So Lubasi, it'll be a tough week for Lubasi. Jimmy's strong, but we'll see. So we'll go to Nick and
Well, wait,
James.
wait. What do you think? You didn't
No,
answer
yeah,
your own question.
yeah, Jimmy's got it.
So Lubasi's going 0-5.
0-5. Well, yeah, 0-5 for Lubasi. We'll get his schedule to see when his first win's going to be, but I don't think it's this week. We got Nick and James. Looks like a close matchup. Again, we can't see buys here, but James definitely needs a win. And I said when we were talking about Nick's team that Nick's team is vulnerable right now, so this is a good time for James to get that second win. And I think James gets this dub. I think, like I said, I don't think Nick's team's strong right now, so James will pull this one off. I'm going to call that right now as well.
You know what? I am going to take you up on that because I think James's team has a much higher ceiling here. Nick might have a higher floor, but I think James has the ceiling, and I think he gets it done this week.
And then we got Dom and Chris. So all week 5, if you remember last week, these are all out of division games. So that means me and Ryan might struggle this week. But so these are all out of division games. So we got Dom and Dom and Chris. That'll be a pretty good matchup. And Chris really needs to figure this out, or figure his players that he traded for need to figure it out. And we'll see if Josh Allen Justin Jefferson played well, but Josh Allen definitely needs to figure it out for him.
Yeah, I don't know if AJ Brown's coming back this week.
No, they got to buy.
I got to give this one to Chris. I think he gets it figured out this week.
Yeah, same thing with Nick's team, or with Dom's team that I said with Nick. It's just vulnerable right now. You got to beat those teams, and Chris needs to show out. I think we can both agree Jeff's probably going to beat me, so that's we don't have to ask about that. We'll go Chewy and Rudy is next. Rudy, it looks like, has some buys that's still in the field, but Chewy's just looking for a bounce back week. I think he finds it. I think that team is good enough to not have 2 duds in a row, but Rudy's team is strong, so that's going to be a really good game. I don't know what the bye week buys are for Rudy, but I think Chewy bounces back. I don't know if he wins, but he definitely bounces back.
Yeah, I think I don't know. This is a tough one to call. But yeah, I mean, look at those projections. Just depends on what those buys are. But I think we got to probably just give the slight edge to Chew Nelson here.
Yeah, let's look at Dom's, because I know Dom has a terrible bye week. He's got Eagles on a bye and the Titans on a bye, and those are his main people that he has on his team.
He's even got DeAndre Hopkins down there. I never even saw that.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. He's got all the Titans guys.
He almost got the whole offense.
Yeah, he needs a trade for Tajay Spears, and he'll have everybody. And then the last game of the week will be a must win for Johnny. Maybe not a must win, but he needs a win because he's 1-3 going against you. And you know what? I think I'm going to go Johnny here just because it's out of division. I think we're just going to keep that streak going for me and you.
I probably give a little slight edge to Johnny here too. I don't know if it's my worst bye week, but it's a tough one. I got both my Lions out, so no Montgomery, no Laporta. Gonna be tough holes to fill there, but yeah, I'm gonna just try and get my point total up as high as I can, and I do expect to probably drop this game, but you never know. I mean, if the Dolphins offense figures something out, maybe, but if not, I'm toast.
Yeah, Huntley's starting again. I think they already announced that he's starting again this week.
Yeah, Achan obviously not going to be great until that offense is back together. So that plus my buys, Johnny might have my number this week.
Yeah, so week 4 is in the books. The standings are looking good. No undefeated team. I like that. I like that we're kind of all close knit. Couple strong 1-3 teams. Lubasi needs to figure it out to kind of join the party. But I feel like everybody has pretty good chance at making the playoffs. I think it's gonna be a fun rest of the year.
Yeah, I hope so. Things are starting to shape up a little bit here. I hope that we can continue our winning streak and take it to 4 here. I don't have high hopes for us, but yeah, it would be nice to still be sitting atop this division next week.
Yeah, and I mean with Jeff playing me, you're definitely gonna have to win because my team is looking pretty weak this week. But hey, hopefully I can get the dub, and I'll try to get the sweep in the chat going.
Hey, all we got to do is play good defense.
Yeah, Jeff. Well, I'm playing Jeff. I think you made him mad, and now he's just putting up 150.
Because I played good defense. You got to play good defense against Jeff. It's the only way to win.
All right, well, I'll try. I'll get some tips from you. I'll text you tomorrow and get some tips.
We'll get it figured out. I need you to beat him because he is in my division. So if you could
I'll try.
somehow squeak that out, that'd be great. All right, I think that's going to do it for the Week 4 recap. Do you have any closing thoughts heading into Week 5?
Week 5 shaping up to be a good one. All out of division games, so it's going to kind of be I don't want to say less important, but it'll be fun to play the guys you only play once this year. So I'm actually glad I won't play Jeff once. So I'm glad I'm done with him after this.
Yeah, I think I got him again, but whatever. We'll worry about that at a later date. All right, guys, we are going to be out of here. We will be back next week. Good luck to everybody in Week 5.
Peace.
Peace.